and welcome back to another week of the Wayne Coaches Show. We are here with our first guest this week, Coach V of the men's and women's track and field team. Coach, a little bit different setup in here this time, but we're making it work. First, let's start with just a recap. You guys had about 2 different meets that you guys went to last week. Can we just get a recap of how those went?
Yeah, we actually went to 3. So we went to Grandview with a few of my athletes, and then Simpson with a really big chunk of our athletes, and then with Drake Relays as well, the ones that were able to qualify in there. So going off of just kind of an order of what I said. So Grandview, we took 2 of our long jumpers there, Taj and Abby, and they had some massive jumps, and they were very close to qualifying, and it was agonizing to watch because it was agonizing in a good way because they've come so far and they were jumping so far. It's just Abby couldn't quite mark it just because she was scratching a little bit. Taj had a really good series, so he feels really good going into conference this week. So it was a really good meet for him. Unfortunately, in the sprints, they might have won, but they were running against the wind, so it was driving us a little bit nuts. So we were unfortunate in that aspect because honestly they look good, so it would have been great if we could actually run with the wind instead of against it. Simpson, we had a really solid meet. Ant kind of started coming back too. He's kind of had a foot injury, so he actually qualified, hit B standard in the triple jump. And we know he has more in him too, so it was fun to watch him just kind of come back into a little bit as well. And Dart hit B standard and broke his record again in the 3K steeplechase. She's just a dog, so it's almost like it's expected at this point, which is it's good and it's bad all at the same time. But no, he really put down the show there, and like we know it's just gonna keep going up from here. And then Drake Relays was really successful. Show had a really good 100 race. Just there's a few execution points that they're going to be working on through. He was close to making finals, which is not easy to do with Drake. So it's a little bit of a bummer because he's really competitive. He really wanted it, and Coach Z really wanted it for him too. So and we all did. But it was nice for him to actually qualify for that open because those standards are very high. So it's hard to do that in just general. And then our DMR ended up winning Drake Relays in the Iowa College division, and they dropped a really good time. They rebroke the school record there too, because I think they broke it last year, and they just demolished it there. And they really came together there, especially like I said, Brandon, Dart, Jaden, and Jonah. They had a very very good day on Saturday before the whole tornado situation was happening. So it was a really good weekend going into conference. Really good confidence boost.
Yeah, and it always seems like those distance runners are breaking records. And like you said earlier, Dart just continues to end up doing that. And then for the men's DMR relays, does that go into anything with nationals, or is that kind of just like for the bragging rights?
Yeah, that's for the bragging rights. If you're an Iowa kid, you know what Drake relays are. Honestly, if you're a track and field athlete, even if you're not, the one thing you think of when you think track is Drake relays. And to go win Drake relays is one of the hardest things to do because there's a lot of competitive teams there. And for them to go out, and they had a long weekend. They competed Thursday, Friday beforehand, and then they went and competed Saturday. Every single one of them that was on there. And it was fun just to watch them get that flag that they won, because like it's very rare that you get one of those. And so I don't think people understand sometimes how great of an honor that is, and to have that and what Coach Drake has been doing with them, and especially like DMR wise. It sucks that we can't have that as a national event for outdoor because we have it for indoor. But outdoor, that one was just kind of for bragging rights and just kind of throw down a little bit. But we knew that they have something special, so it was definitely fun to watch them go get it for sure.
Yeah, always nice to kind of flex that muscle, show off for our school here. But before we kind of get into some postseason talk, we have had a couple of national qualifiers throughout the season. Can you kind of take us through just who has already qualified for nationals before we head to postseason?
Yeah, we've had quite a few. On our men's side, we have D'Artagnan Beaver. He's hit B standard in the 3K steeple in the 1500. And we're going to try to go for some of those A standards. Showalter Johnson has hit A and is sitting very well in the nation for the 100-meter dash. And it just keeps getting better, so it's really fun to watch. And then he hit B standard for the 200 as well. Nick Marshall hit A standard for the hammer throw. He hit that back in Mount Mercy. And then Anthony Weaver Jr., he hit the B standard for triple jump this past weekend. Our girls' side, we have Erica Martin. She hit A standard for shot put, and then this past weekend, she hit it multiple times. They almost dang near the same exact mark, so that's really good to be going into this part of the season. And then Phoebe Burt, she hit A standard in the discus throw at the Iowa meet, which it was a cold meet. It was a windy meet, so like she used it to her advantage and was able to get through that cold a little bit. It was fun to see her back on the stage because she didn't qualify last year, so it was fun to see her back there. But I'm not going to lie, if I'm sitting here going, like, we got a lot more that could definitely qualify, and we're just kind of sitting here waiting, especially going into this conference weekend, because this is where, like, some of the bigger distances and faster times end up dropping because it's probably one of our most competitive meets just as a whole team. And whenever it's a whole team, you just see our team just do something really special. So we've got a lot that are qualified, and we got a lot that is coming down the pipeline. So we're very, very excited.
And kind of going into Heart Conference here, as you talked about, some of those are getting close and potentially could do it at this upcoming Heart Conference meet. Who are some of those, and what should we expect out of that meet coming up?
Oh, you want me to list that? Oh, we're going to be here for a while. So Abby in the long jump. You got Taj in the long jump. You got John Webb in the triple. You got West in the hammer throw. You got potentially our 4x1s, potentially our 4x8 from men's side. Brandon just came back this past weekend because he wasn't competing until this past weekend, and he's this close. You got Jonah as well. Like it's just it's a long list, and that's just such a fun place to be in. Just as a coach, just to watch them just go for it and get hungry for it, but just also watching their teammates just know that they're sitting there on the cusp too, and just how supportive this team is of just them going and try to go qualify, and just it's about the Heart Conference and about going and do some damage there because we really want to do what we did indoor, if not more and better. It'll be a little bit harder outdoor. You have different types of events. We lose some, we gain some. But yeah, going into that national meet, we got quite a few that are sitting there right on the cusp.
And as this will be our last time doing the coaches show this year, do you have any memories that you would like to share, maybe about the season, or just any thing you look back on that pops into your head here?
Oh, memories! I could sit here for days and say every weird thing that happened at practice, at meets. Honestly, my favorite memory is just this year as a whole, because I came in here, like I said, I came in here in August, and some of these kids knew me from previous school I was at. Freshmen had no idea who I was. They're just like, hey, you got a new coach. Here she is. Have fun. I was really fortunate that Coach Drake and Coach Z just had my back before I even came in here. And so, like, all the kids were stoked. And so we had our first meeting, and just from then on, just you could tell this team was something special and that we're creating something special here. Like I said, indoor for men's side to get third after where they were placed last year, for our girls to move up 6 spots, to watch just qualifier after qualifier after qualifier in the nation. It's just been a fun year to be a part of, and I'm so thankful for the staff and for the athletes. Just they definitely embraced me and my craziness and just everything that I bring to the table. But I nothing short but thankful of how this first year has gone so far, because we still got a little bit left. But I wouldn't change it for everything. It was definitely a fun year, and I'm more than happy that with the decision I made back in the summer to come here.
Yeah, and we're very thankful that you made that decision to come here. But for this interview, that is going to do it all for us here, and we'll be right back here with our next guest. All right, we are back here with our final guest this week, Coach Luke Christiansen of the 16-2 number 5 ranked men's lacrosse team. Coach, thank you for joining us out here.
Thank you for having me today.
So like I said, you guys are 16-2, 4-1 in conference. Can you kind of just take us through some of the highlights and a recap of the year up until now?
Yeah, so obviously a great year. 16-2 top 5 team. Are all kind of program news for us. Starting from the fall, like we had high expectations and really pushed the guys throughout the fall. And then once we got back into, back on campus in January, it was kind of the same approach of the, hey, we know that this team's capable of a lot, so we're going to push them hard. And so right out of the gates, we had a couple of, earlier, easier games to start, but, the third game of the season was against the reigning national champs in Kaiser. When we lost to them in overtime, and, a game where we probably should have won the game. So I think that set the tone for the season of knowing, like, okay, hey, this is a different team. This is a team that's capable of competing at the highest level and making some noise, and we need to capitalize on that. And that's what we saw, throughout the rest of the season for the most part. Where we went through and we beat teams this year that had beat us last year, and we beat them by 15, 16, 17 goals, right? Siena Heights, they were a tournament team last year, right? And we beat them by whatever it was, 15, 16 goals. Ottawa, beat us last year. We beat them by 16 goals. Columbia beat us last year. We beat them by 14 goals. So really establishing, like, hey, not only are we a good team, but we're an elite level team as far as our roster goes. And then I liked the way that the season ended, where we had to earn it. It wasn't just everybody was just going to roll over and give us the championship. So credit to Benedictine for coming in and, executing and beating us on our home turf. And, they made it where, hey, next year we've got some things left to accomplish as far as conference play goes. But we knew we were the better team. We knew we were the better roster. We knew we had worked harder. We knew we deserved it more. And the guys, showed up and did that in the conference championship game.
Yeah, and kind of just going off of that, like you said, you guys lost that regular season Hart title, but you guys came back and in enemy territory got the win down in Benedictine. How was it for maybe you and for the team, just that feeling of kind of getting over that hump and getting back that win after the loss on our home turf?
Yeah, our loss was the worst game we'd had in 3 years, right? Like, if you go look at the analytics of it, like, it's statistically the worst loss we've had in 3 years, So a lot of things had to, kind of go their way and not go our way in that first matchup. In the second matchup, though, they played their best possible game that they could, and they gave us all that they could, and they had us on the ropes for a little bit there. I think they were riding off of the confidence of the first game. But, we knew that, hey, as long as we play a full 4 quarters, we're going to come out fine. And so I was really proud of the guys for doing that, of playing a full 4 quarters. And we saw, like, okay, hey, like, it was a game where, it was kind of a, slugfest, kind of an ugly game the first 3 quarters. And then the final quarter, we were able to finally get the offense clicking, and put up 10 goals in a quarter and show, really what kind of an elite level team we are.
Yeah, and kind of just going into that team, you guys had 9 total all-conference players on the Hart teams. What kind of just makes this team so special, the players in it?
I think that, the team is buying into the team and not buying into, individuals. That they recognize, hey, it's great to be all-conference, it's great to be all-American, but ultimately you're going to be left wanting more if you don't, accomplish those team goals, right? Everybody on the team can get conference championship rings. Only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 can get, all-American accolades. And so that's a big thing we preach is, like, hey, every single person on this team can get a conference championship ring if you take care of business. Every single person can get a national championship one. Only a select few can get those individual awards.
Yeah, and you are completely right about that. Always good to be buying into the team. But now, kind of moving on, we are getting to the national tournament. You guys are going to be heading down to Georgia tomorrow. You guys leave. Can you guys give us a preview of maybe what you've seen so far to who you play and just overall expectations going into the national tournament?
Yeah, so very, very excited for the matchup, with it being the 4-5 matchup. I would imagine it's, going to be one of the, the matchups to watch. When you go and you look at the stats of both teams, you look at our common opponents and how the season has panned out, like, it's really, really close. We'd been 4 ahead of them, then they jumped us, and it's been kind of back and forth all season between the two. But we like the matchup. It's a game where, that there's some motivation there, of last season when we played Cumberland's. It was, a turning point for the program in some regards. Of it helped us to, make some changes that we really needed to make, that have paid huge dividends this year. And so we feel confident in it. And as long as we can play our game for 4 quarters, I really like our matchup and our odds for it.
Do you think that at any time through the year when you guys lost to that Kaiser, the number one team, it was in overtime, and you guys have had a couple close games, but also a couple blowouts. Kind of just going through this hard tournament, do you think that some of the games for the season will have prepared you guys for what's going to come at the national tournament?
Yeah, Kaiser definitely helps us for that, and that's why I said I really like the way the season ended. With our games down the stretch of it, I think it made us more tournament ready than if everything had just kind of gone our way and we'd played perfect games. Like obviously we would have hoped that we could have played our A type of games in those last couple of games this season. But I think having some adversity, having some hiccups and getting through that, I think does prepare us for this coming week.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck as you guys head on down to Nationals, Savannah, Georgia. Be on the lookout for next week for some information of where you can watch and the stats. And we want to thank you again for joining us here for another full year of the William Coaches Show. This will be the last one of the year, so we thank you very much for watching. Always coming out to Wood Iron Grill, now Elmhurst Grill. And again, just stay tuned for next year.